Hey, welcome back to Into the Abyss. And once again, now because it's October, we're going to offer you our Halloween movie suggestions. So, listen, why don't we start with Tom? Tom, what are your Halloween viewing suggestions?
Well, Kevin brought we all brought up the movies we were going to talk about. I think we should all talk about them as well. Now, the one I'm bringing up is based on a book that these two read. I haven't read it, but I've seen the movie, and that's Ghost Story, 1981's Ghost Story, based on the book written by Peter Straub, and it has quite a bevy of actors in it. Now, it's actually the last movie for some greats of the past. Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., John Houseman, too. And if we are going to do The Fog, you're going to see him at the beginning of the movie, too. Craig Watson, if you might recognize him from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, and Alice Krige. And Alice Krige played the Border Queen on the Star Trek.
I was about to say,
movies,
yes, she did play the Board Queen.
And to give you a quick synopsis of it, it's essentially since the father coming back to harm the children. It deals with this young man whose twin brother was killed. Turned out his twin brother was engaged to the same woman he had an affair with, but got scared off by. And unfortunately, their father and his friends caused her death years ago. So it's a very atmospheric movie. It's very simple in terms of this is what's scary. I mean, Alice Krige, if she just stared at you, oh, I almost forgot with Alice Krige, she was in Silent Hill, the movie.
She was in Silent Hill, yeah.
I mean, that woman, it's weird. Like, I'm like, oh my god, I love her so much, but she scares me to death. I love her.
I'm so confused right now.
I know. If I woke up and she's staring at me, I'm like, bye. Okay, I'm bye. I'm out. It's, as I said, it's this whole sins of the past coming back to haunt you. It's very simplistic, and its horror is very spot on. Now, of course, with it being based on a book, the question is the book better? Is the movie better?
Well, the description, I haven't seen the movie, but, I have read the book. I heard about the movie as well. It does sound like it does a very good job of bringing over the tone of the book over into the movie. I mean, everything you're describing with that atmospheric quality, that is what the book is. A lot of people today, as modern readers, would describe it as slow. Just to be honest, a lot of people. But if you want a book that you can just dive and wade into, and just fall into the writing, fall into the characterization, it goes deep with all the characters, and it's a very realistic. I hate to use the word, but mundane. But it's just these are very real, lifelike people. They're not.
To be honest, it's a horror that works. That doesn't get too complicated either.
Yeah.
And if I was gonna, again, you're looking at some very great golden age Hollywood actors, right? But I mean, with Alice Krige, this was like maybe her second movie. I think she started with Chariots of Fire. She was great. She scared the hell out of me as the spirit come back to life. I'm sorry, it's 1981, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be like, oh, you're ruining it.
Spoilers! I was gonna watch that sometime the next decade.
No, you know what? It's a good movie to watch. If I had to say when to watch it now, it's a great Halloween movie, I think. But also, if you're in, like, say, late January, February, when it's barren winter and wind is blowing, because that's when it's set.
Yep.
That's the thing you want.
Also interesting though, I don't know if it gets into that in the movie, but in the book, it actually is in our neck of the woods. It takes place around here.
It does.
It all takes place in north and east of Binghamton.
It name checks Elmira, it name checks Binghamton, and Binghamton General. One of the characters in the book, one of the characters would be Binghamton General Hospital.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, the story would take place in Windsor, which you out there probably don't, but yeah, Windsor.
Maybe. Okay. I'm kidding if you're from Windsor. Okay.
Well, that may not be in the movie. Movies always change things.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, for Halloween movies, I mean, there's nothing more classic than Halloween, 1978. Checking.
Oh, Salam Saleh, we love you.
Which also might be, I don't know. I think you could argue it's also the best slasher film, or like the quintessential slasher film. Really set in motion that view of 80s horror. It capped off the 70s, which is a great decade for horror. So Halloween, I will mention, similar to that, I think one of the inspirations for Halloween, Psycho, a British comic, Psycho. I can definitely see that as being some good Halloween viewing. And I will also mention Trick or Treat. So I brought Sam along with me. There you go. There's Sam.
There's Sam. So good.
If you haven't seen it, it incorporates multiple. It's almost like an anthology, but everything's tied together and they loop back on each other.
Mm-hmm.
The Anna Paquin story was okay. It was one of those things where
I was really surprised by that, quite frankly. See, I did not see that coming.
Maybe for me, maybe why I was okay with it because I did see it coming. That one, I did pick up on it.
Didn't see.
But what I absolutely love is the story there's the story with the bus and the children. And how that ties into the story with the cranky neighbor. It comes back around full circle.
Played by the great Brian Cox.
Yep. So I thought of the different stories that were there, I thought those were the stronger ones. I really love how those ones punch through. And the best thing about it is that it has Sam. Yeah. And the thing I'll say about Sam is not only is it a great part of the film, this haunting, atmospheric thing in the background for most of the movie. I love a good monster design. I talk about that a lot about that. Like the Xenomorph, for example, is wonderfully designed. Sure.
Geiger.
Yep, H.R. Geiger. I would put Sam up there as one of the greatest monster design that's ever been done in any genre or something like that. It's just the quality of it is so well done. It's a very simple design, but it works so well, and so that's why props to that.
You know what's interesting? Because when you brought that Sam is the one that connects it together, I was thinking about the I don't know if it was all Syndicate or not, but Cat's Eye.
Cat's Eye is great.
There was another anthology movie.
Was it Cat's Eye or wait?
It was Cat's Eye.
I'm thinking of the movie Sleepwalkers.
No, no. Cat's Eye was an anthology. Very young Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. The guy who was in Airplane. And it was funny because now I think about it, Sam was one that tied it together, but Sam was an evil force.
Yeah.
In Cat's Eye, the cat was a force of good.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
That might be interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that where it gets into that mystique of Halloween is it's a creepy night, but it's also a fun night as well. And Sam isn't necessarily completely malevolent. I mean, yes, he's a horrible killer, but it's more of just maintaining.
He's more like a force of nature.
Yeah.
That's
almost, or a force of supernatural. Is almost a way to say it. It's
supernature.
Supernature. So, if nothing else, just see it for Sam because I think it's a wonderful design. Sam is fantastic.
Yep. So I'm going to leave right off the Chuck because Trick or Treat was one that I just watched recently as well, and it was great. It's just simply because some of these anthology films don't quite tie everything together, and this one it tied everything together nicely. Where characters that you saw in one segment, they would be like passerby in the next segment. So that was a really great film. I'm also going to add a couple here. First one is going to be Dark Night of the Scarecrow. Dark Night of the Scarecrow is a made-for-TV movie. I watched it on Tubi. And it was a really, again, when you're thinking of foundational 80s flicks, this is one of them. Right before Halloween, a mentally disabled man is wrongfully accused of hurting a girl, and he's killed, summarily executed. So we never actually see him do the killing, but it's heavily intimated that his spirit comes back and exacts revenge on the people who killed him. It was a great movie, because it was made for TV. The gore count isn't high, but it's got a nice heart to it. The next one will be one again. Please, horror fans, don't scream at me. There's so many horror movies, so little time. Just recently watched this as well. The Fabulous Pumpkinhead with Lance Henriksen.
Oh my God, you bastard!
But again, it's one of those movies where, and I have not. There are some sequels, I guess. I haven't bothered with them yet. No. Lance Henriksen is just one of those actors, and I hope he wins an award someday. He's like the horror sci-fi version of Harrison Ford, where he's just very often he's the everyman or whatever. He's the opening scenes in that movie with his son are just so poignant. And him realizing that his son gets killed in a tragic accident, so he goes to a witch woman to summon Pumpkinhead, and then realizing that he made a terrible mistake. That was a really enjoyable film. Also, so Chuck took my Halloween. So I'm going to say this October I binged all the Halloween movies. I'm going to say that out of all the ones I watched, the only one to me that lives up to the first one is the most recent one that was in the theaters that you and I went and saw. Was
yeah.
It was called Halloween.
Halloween. It was 2017.
Yeah. That was the only one that really lived up to the original, I thought. Now, if you've never watched the Halloween movies, do not worry about continuity. There is none. There's no continuity. After Halloween 2, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which is an excellent movie, because I don't know if anyone knows this, but John Carpenter wanted to get rid of Mike Myers entirely. What his desire was is
okay, Michael Myers, because Mike Myers is, Austin Powers.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, baby. But after Halloween 2, Carpenter just wanted to make an anthology series where every year something creepy happens on Halloween. So Halloween 3, I guess I'm doing a review of Halloween 3 too, Season of the Witch. That's kind of a fun 80s horror movie about a company that's producing cursed masks.
From Stonehenge.
From Stonehenge, and it was a really great film. It didn't do well because everyone's like, where's my Michael Myers? So, anyway, the movies have no continuity ones. It's like every new Halloween movie that came out was like, just forget the other one happened. But the most recent one in the theaters, yes, it does that. It does ask you to forget all the rest of them happened. But it's got something that I don't think I saw since the first movie. With a traumatized Jamie Lee Curtis and a Michael Myers is just this engine of destruction that cannot be denied. And it's sad that quarantine. So basically, they started a new trilogy. The one was just in the theaters in 2017 was Halloween.
Maybe 18.
Yeah, maybe 18. The next one is supposed to be Halloween Kills. The final one is supposed to be Halloween's End, I think. And I'm really sad that we're not going to see Halloween Kills till next year. But I thought that most recent Halloween one was really, really good.
And Kevin, I just want to leap in onto that because since Chuck brought it up, Halloween is the ultimate Halloween movie. Now, I believe it was 1978. And it was like the first slasher movie as far as I'm concerned. Psycho was more
when
like a...
When did Chainsaw Massacre come out, though?
I'm pretty sure that was like at the earliest 1980.
Okay. I'll have to check that later.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah. We're not going to fact check ourselves.
Carpenter, as these guys know, I got a man crush on Carpenter.
Yeah.
It was about atmosphere. It was about the use of shadows. Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance absolutely killed it in their respective roles.
He always did.
And especially with Donald Pleasance when he said just pure evil. I was actually doing my research before I came over.
Pure evil, Michael Myers.
John Carpenter based the movie on the fact I went on a tour of a psych hospital and he came across this boy just stared at him, unblinking with pure hate in his eyes. Really seriously, if you've not seen the original Halloween, you gotta go see it. I do like the second one because I actually like that continuity along with a reason behind it. And then they said, oh no, that she wasn't his sister. They made that up in the movies, but I still liked it. It worked pretty well. It is the ultimate movie, and I know I can imagine some younger people are like, oh, it's it's outdated and all that. No, it's not outdated.
You're outdated. You young person who hasn't dated yet.
So, now I totally lost my train of thought.
I believe you're next on to Fright Night.
Not quite yet. No, it was more on Halloween.
Oh, he's got to talk more.
Yeah. So I'm going to disagree with Tom and say that I actually liked. I have not seen the second one yet. I actually was okay with Rob Zombie's take on Halloween.
Oh.
The reason why is simply that. Now I remember what I was going to say about. The reason why I liked Rob Zombie's Halloween is I did like the bit about the kid, and it's a very postmodern take to be sure. Because Donald Pleasance is just like, no. He's evil. That's all it is. He was born evil. Rob Zombie introduces the idea that Michael Myers may have had some sort of personality affective disorder, and he had a severely abusive father. Stepfather that traumatized him and created Mike Myers. I didn't mind that. Also, I don't know who played Mike Myers in the Rob Zombie movie.
Tyler Mane.
The dude was gigantic. Like, I actually believed it. Like, I saw Tyler Mane just create this carnage, and I'm like, that man is monstrous. Like, I totally believe it. Now, I have not seen Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I have heard it's a dumpster on fire.
It is.
So I have never watched it. Now, going back to Halloween, this is what I remember. There's this great scene where Laurie Strode gets in the car with her friend, and Michael Myers is following her in the car he stole from the Psych Institute, and they're playing "Don't Fear the Reaper" on the radio.
Blue Oyster Cult.
I just love this. This is a great shot. So,
and this is without Will Ferrell or cowbell.
Yeah. So moving on, I have Fright Night, the OG Fright Night. Again, you have to have faith for one of those to work. Again, I don't know if this takes place on Halloween, but it just seems like I remember seeing this as a kid, and it was frightening. Not only frightening though, but I remember what was his friend's name? I totally forget now. The one that turns into a vampire.
Oh shoot! Because I saw the remake too.
You're so cool, Brewster. I remember seeing this movie.
No.
Yeah, I remember seeing this movie, and when Brewster's friend is a vampire, and yet he gets killed, and he reverts to his human form. I remember feeling my first stirrings of, okay, horror is not all about the scares. Like, you realize that he had become something that he didn't want to become. And now he's been killed brutally. And now he's reverting to this pure, innocent form. I don't know if I had the language to understand that when I was a kid when I watched that, but that was the first time where I remember, this isn't scary. Like, I feel really bad for this guy now. And also, too, when our main character does the whole, it's Roddy McDowell, right?
He is one of the main characters.
He's
I don't
the
know who
vampire
Brewster's
hunter.
actor is.
No, Roddy McDowell's the vampire hunter. He was in a lot of Twilight Zone episodes. When he, again, that scene where he uses the cross, and the vampire goes, you have to have faith for that to work. That was also instrumental for me, being a young Christian and watching horror and thinking, that's a really powerful statement. The cross itself is not powerful enough. But definitely the OG Fright Night, and again, I'll go out on a limb and say I was totally okay with the remake with Anton Yelchin, who unfortunately, Anton Yelchin was taken from us too early.
Yeah.
A tragic accident. I was actually okay with the remake. I really was. So here's my additional two. We just joined Twitter.
Why does he get two?
Actually, I came up with it when we were talking, so I have more.
I'm the producer. So we just recently joined Twitter. So hopefully all you Twitter followers who are watching this, thank you. And I was added by a Twitter account for Mandeo and the Dead. Or is it Mandeo of the Dead? I apologize, filmmakers, it's their night. Mandeo of the Dead, or Mandeo and the Dead, is a wonderful little indie film about this guy who gains the ability, rather unexpectedly, to go into his astral form. And he embarks on this quest to prevent a series of murders that occur on Halloween and then November 1st, which is All Saints Day. And he has until the end of All Saints Day to be able to put all these things right. It is such a charming movie. And it's a good example, again, of how it's not a horror movie, it's a Halloween movie. But a lot of these indie movies, trust me, we're going to get to a segment later about how many movies I watched when I had my first surgery. So many of the indie movies today.
Sorry if your internet speeds were bad for the last couple of months. It was all Kevin doing.
It's my fault because I probably watched at least 100 horror movies
He told us about
July
all
and
of
August.
He told us about all.
I did. So I find that today's indie movies, because I think special effects are so cheaply rendered in 3D, because anybody can go buy a camera, they're really bad. Very few of the indie movies are done by people that have skill. And Mandeo and the Dead was so wonderful. You know, it was, and you know, there's a wonderful character who's living with his uncle, but he's not really his uncle. They're the same age. His sister just married his father for a while. So it's a wonderful story. Yeah, it's a wonderful story.
It's set in West Virginia.
No. It was so the one character who's kind of a bum and lives everywhere. His dad had married a younger girl.
Okay.
So now he's slumming off with that younger girl's brother and keeps calling him uncle. And the guy keeps saying, I'm not your uncle. My sister was married to your dad for like 3 months, you know, but he still lives with him. It's a wonderful film, and I'll make sure I tag you guys in the tweet. And I have to add this one. Okay, I found this gem on YouTube. It is free. Hack O Lantern. Yes, you read that right. But Hack O
You did because he said it.
Hack
Unless you put some words up there, you're not
I
gonna
will,
read it.
because I'm going to put the title.
So you will read it. Hack a Lantern.
Hack O Lantern is the best, worst horror movie you'll ever watch. It is about this grandfather who is unapologetically part of a satanic cult. And he is grooming his grandson to take his place someday to join their coven. Like the grandpa, he talks in a weird voice like this. It's like Robert Goldthwait and Bobcat, you know. It's
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Or a mix with him and Gilbert Gottfried. And he's like, in every scene, he's like, "How are ya, Tommy? Are you coming to the celebration later?"
We should require him just to always talk like that.
He would rip a vocal cord if we did
So
that.
he's grooming Tommy to be part of the satanic cult. The dad confronts the grandfather. They just kill him. Whatever. So years later, Tommy is a poster boy for everything your parents said would happen to you if you listened to heavy metal in the 80s. He's got a bandana, he lifted weights in his room, he's all
Twisted.
Yes, exactly. He's surly and lives in his own little apartment at his mom's house. And he's being groomed for the satanic cult by his brother. So on
We've all been there.
Yeah, right, happens, right? Family obligations. So he, on Halloween, he's got to commit a series of murders to his sin, to his, whatever. And in some ways, again, I find this an interesting dynamic, and we'll have to talk about this. We may have to do a special examination of indie movies in the 80s and indie movies now. Because I feel like indie movies now, so there's a lot of great things that digital streaming has brought to
Going
us.
down that trail.
Yeah.
That trail.
Alright.
I'll get segment later, Kevin.
There's a lot of things that benefits that digital streaming has brought to us now. But I think the downside is that anybody can grab a camera and go film a movie. This movie was obviously low budget, but the production values were at least passingly professional. Okay, so it's a terribly cheesy movie. By the way, even though it's on YouTube, there are boobs everywhere, like naked boobs, full-on nudity, like everywhere, like almost like
That's on her OnlyFans.
like it was like a requirement, and it was actually really like a kind of a fun to watch because you know what's going to happen. It's a little town having a Halloween party. Tommy's younger brother, of course, is a deputy sheriff, and there's this real creepy scene where the grandfather is like basically like to his daughter, who is everyone's mom. "You've always been a really tempting woman, baby." So he's openly.
You all wanted to hear Kevin say that.
He's openly satanic. He's openly like molesting his daughter. Like every trope that could possibly be there is there. I will say this: there are some problematic issues because it is in the 80s. Tommy listens to some rock music because rock music is the gateway to Satan. And he has this fantasy where he's playing in this rock band, and there's this like devilish woman who's charming them all. And I think the title of the song is "Son of Satan," not being subtle.
Is that the concept we have of Satan, that we all fear him? We all really, really want to do him?
I don't know. Anyway, he's a guitarist in this fantasy, and the woman that's like seducing them all and killing them is, of course, first of all, she's black. And of course, she's doing like a jungle voodoo dance.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so racially, that part's not too progressive, but it was done in the 80s. It's free on YouTube. Hack O Lantern. It may be the best, worst horror movie you'll ever watch. Any parting comments?
I'll give one more recommendation. I think it's very fitting. There actually are some Halloween scenes, but I'm going to say Stranger Things. I mean, it's not really a big surprise.
Season 2 especially.
Yep, it does nail that nostalgic feel for Halloween. So probably you've watched it.
Especially when they went to school dressed as Ghostbusters.
Yes, yeah.
That hit me in the feels.
Yeah.
I'm going to add
Except
one
you.
too.
You weren't alive.
Because you mentioned it. If you haven't,
the Ghostbusters again.
If you haven't watched Mike Flanagan's Haunting of Hill House, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
On Netflix. I rewatch it every October, and I'm super excited that they've got a new series coming up called The Haunting of House Bly, which is basically a remake of Turn of the Screw. Do you have any last minute ads because we've been so like camera hoggy?
No, not at all.
No, we just want to hear you talk more in that weird voice.
Exactly. You won't be able to
Thank you for welcoming you into the abyss.